This is by request. I had a couple of students ask me to show them factor, and we're going to do two examples, one where a is equal to 1 and one where a is greater than 1. And we're going to be using the grouping method, which is what our pre-cal and Algebra 2 teachers insist from our high school students. So in middle school, y'all did something with an X, and I'm not terribly familiar with this, but I know the shortcuts that a lot of EOC preppers do, in that we do first term times last term, when added together gives you what's in the middle. And then you just kind of shortcut it after that. Well, there's not going to be any shortcuts because we actually want you to split the middle or group it. So we're going to take this 12x and divide it into two terms. They have to add up to 12x. Now factors of 45 are like 15 and 3, so we're going to use that. So I'm going to call this 15x. That means this has to be a negative 3x. We'll go ahead and put our negative 45 here, and our x squared, of course, in the front. Now, using the property of GCF, greatest common factor, we're going to group these two terms and these two terms, and we're going to factor out the GCF, which is x. And we have x plus 15. And I'm going to factor out the negative 3. I always like to factor, keep in the standard form, and I love to factor out that negative if it's present. So what we have is x plus 15. And that's the whole intent of this. We have two like terms, x plus 15, x plus 15. And this goes back to our distributive property where we have AB plus AC. And when we distribute this, we have A, B plus C. Well, what's going on here is our A is actually this x plus 15 because it's common. So we're going to factor out the A, the x plus 15. And we have our B and C terms, which is x minus 3. And of course, if we're solving this, which we are, this should all be equal to 0. We use the zero product property, which is AB is equal to 0. Then A has to equal to 0, or B has to equal to 0. So each one of these has to equal to 0. So we put x plus 15 is equal to 0. And most of y'all do this in your head, and that's perfectly fine. X is equal to negative 15, of course. And we're going to get x is equal to 3. Remember, a quadratic can have 0 solutions, 1 solution, or no solution. So let's take a look at one where we have a greater than 1. First thing you want to do is get this in standard form. And you can do almost the same mental exercise. So we're looking at, okay, we got 48. What are the factors of 48? Well, I'm thinking of, 16 and 3 possibly. And it doesn't matter which one you put this. You're going to split this up into factors. And if I call this negative 16x right here, I'm going to need a positive 3x over here. And I could put it, it doesn't matter which one you put it, it'll be fine. So I'm going to put a negative 16x here and a positive 3x right here. That gives me my negative 13x. And of course I have my 4x squared over here. So I am going to go ahead and GCF factor. Well, it looks like a 4x goes into both of those. So I have x minus 4. And I'm going to factor out a positive 3. I always think in terms of positive and negatives, and I have an x minus 4. And as you remember in our distributive property, these right here are factored out. The x minus 4 is factored out. And then that leaves us with a 4x plus 3. We set each one of these equal to 0, so you know that's going to be equal to x equal to 4. And this is going to be 4x plus 3 is equal to 0. So 4x is equal to negative 3, and x is equal to negative 3/4. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. And always remember, you learn by doing. So when you watch this, what you really want to have is a blank sheet of paper. Write these problems down and go and do them now, or it's not going to stick. Okay, see you next time.